Aloha kako. As he mentioned, my name is Kawehi. I'm from Kyokaha, Hawaiian Hilo. My focus, or what I came to share with you today, is about natural fiber cordages. Cordage, the word for cordage in Hawaiian is kaula. And kaula to me is important because of the function. It's another added use to the many multiple uses of our plants, commonly found in our backyards, as he mentioned. So, as far as the use of it, we use rope for everything from drawstring bags, as you can see, drawstring bags. And our kupuna use cordages for everything in their daily life, even just to hold up their water gourds, to carry their water gourds around with them. The first cordage that I'd like to share with you guys is the hala. The hala is from the pandanus tree, which has multiple names. We call it pandanus tree, we call it broomstick tree, also puhala. Puhala is its original name. But from the pandanus tree, we get the hala, which is the aerial root, the root that hasn't touched the ground yet. And then, of course, we always ask the tree first. We ask the tree if it can give us its life. And in that life, we create fibers like this. And from these fibers, we create our long cordage. Yeah. So you take the hala aerial root and you pound it on the ground. You pound the bottom tip on the ground, and then you get these long, beautiful fibers, which then we twist into rope or cordage. The feel of the cordage is kind of similar to cotton. It's a soft cordage depending on the branch selection that you choose. Yeah. And then another fiber that I'd like to share is aha, which is made from the niu tree or the coconut tree. With the aha, what you would do is gather the coconut, strip apart the shell, clean out the inside husk on the outer part of the meat or the coconut shell. And then you just twist it into cordage or you braid it. And the name that I mentioned, the name of that kind of cordage is called aha. Another type of fiber that is kind of my favorite is kumaia, which is the banana tree. These fibers that you see are from the banana stalk. You take each layer of the banana trunk, you scrape out all the water, and then you get beautiful silky fibers, like this. As far as the durability of the maia isn't as strong as other fibers. You always have to consider wear and tear, what you use it for, the function of the fibers and the cordage. And then another plant that can be used, not really commonly found in backyards, but it was used for temporary halas by our kupunas, and it's called uki uki. Uki uki is a grass sedge. And with the uki uki, you braid it into long cordages like this. And you can use it for lashing, use it for securing structures, anything that you can actually come up with yourself. And then my favorite fiber is from the hau tree, or the yellow sea hibiscus tree. It's kind of a process to get the hau fibers out. You have to gather the branch, strip off the outer layer of the bark, and then you clean each individual fiber. You're just gonna strip it and separate each layer. Yeah, and then you get longer fibers. It all depends on how long you cut your branch. Yeah. Now, as far as cleaning these fibers, every fiber has a different process. As I mentioned, They come from different parts of the plants, and all from all different plants. So each plant has its own respect, because it's giving us life to turn into new life. Yeah. With the cleaning process, a lot of the preparation has to do with the conditions that you're in. With the coconut, with the aha, it depends. If you're using a young coconut or an old coconut, you'll get a white fiber, and from the older dark coconut, you get a dark brown fiber. And I like to mix the two just because it gives it a little bit more oomph. And then as far as the hoe or the yellow sea hibiscus, what I found with working with the hoe is it depends on the elements around you. If you're cleaning your fibers in the sun, because of the sap on the inside, it'll turn the color of your fiber. If you clean it in the shade and cool water, you get a nice white colored fiber, whereas the sap will turn it brown or goldish in the sun. Same with the ma'i'a. It really depends on how you care for things. Like how you care for your garden is how you would care for your cordage or your fibers. In making the cordage, there's a couple different techniques. I am not an expert at all. I'm just a student. Still much to learn, but the techniques that I've learned is Hilo, which is a twist that we use to make our tea leaf blades. The two hands just twisting the plant material together. And then another technique that I've learned is called aho. And aho is cordage that is made on your thigh or your uha. It's not a technique commonly found or commonly seen. I hear a lot of people say that it's an ancient technique, and I'd like to say it's a living technique. There's multiple people learning how to make aho now, and especially keikis. I'm really thankful for the keikis to learn, because then I wouldn't have to come here and share with everybody. Eventually, we want to get to a space where everybody knows how to make aho, like how our kupunas did. And just to share what aho means to me, aho in kaula is he's going to pass some around. But for me, kaula is much more than just the cord. We all know everything in creation is made up of fibers. It's sustainable because it's not made out of plastic. It's something that will deteriorate in time. So it's not, when you make your cordage, you have to think of the longevity of the cordage. You have to make it strong enough so that it will sustain you and sustain the function that you want it to the purpose that it was made. Yeah. As for me, the cordage has taught me patience, because it's a long process, from the gathering to the cleaning to the making of the kaula. It's a process that takes focus, takes patience, takes a lot of aloha. I don't like to say it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of aloha. Our kupuna use the cordages for everything in their daily life, from their houses to lawaia to fishing, to just carrying their gourds, as I mentioned earlier. So cordages, it's a really important part of my life, as well as my daughters. It's something that I would want them to pass on to their children because of its great functions. We've used cordage for everything. I can never make enough cordage for everyone that asks, and it would be a lot easier if more people start making cordage. And it's, as you can see, it's something that you can do out of your own resources from your own backyard. I'm not saying to go down the coastline and go collect every plant that you see. That's not, to me, that's not point. But if you have the resources in your backyard, most of us use it just for mulch. This is just another function that you can use your own resources for. Is there anybody have any questions? Yes.
If I wanted to like a big piece of very strong rope, what would be your first choice of plant type?
Definitely the aha, the coconut. As far as I know, the coconut was the second choice favored by many people actually. Olona would be the first, and then the coconut. With the coconut, there isn't any stretch factor. It all depends on how you make it, but it'll secure very tightly without much movement. So, I hope does that answer your question?
Where can somebody go and learn how to do this?
Not very many places actually. I've looked for resources myself to go learn more, because as I mentioned, I'm just a student. I've only been doing or learning about this for past 2 years, 3 years. So it's very new to me, but very important also. Yeah. Any more questions?
Do you have any ideas about ropes for salt water? Like any that are more tolerant of salt water?
No, actually, I'm not too sure. I know they use the aha or the coconut fiber or rope for canoe for canoe things. So that would be, from my experience or from what I've seen, that would be the choice that I would pick for that function. Anybody else have any questions? No? Okay.
What is the best, I mean, you said it takes a lot of aloha, but, just as a rough estimate, how long, time-wise, will it take from scratch, from the time you cut the branch, the preparation, how many hours do you think, or how many days will it take to make the cordage?
That's always the $1 million question.
If you're experienced in cordage making.
Okay, like I said, that's the $1 million question. Every fiber has its own respect. Each has its great value. So to put a time on the cordage making is kind of impossible for me, because sometimes I'm in a rush and I just go, and then most times I want to trust the cord that I make. I want to trust the rope that I make, so I take my time with it. But as far as the cleaning process, every fiber is different with the preparation. So,
what's the fastest time? Do you remember?
For me, yeah, it all depends. With the uki, you have to wait at least a week for it to dry in hot places, and then the hull, you have to wait for it to soak at least a day before you can even start to clean it. So it really depends on what fiber you're using. For me, as far as the fastest, I would have to say the hala, the aerial root of the pandanus tree. Only because that one you just pound, you can pound it right there when you grab it or when you gather it, and then wash your fibers and start to use it while it's drying. Yes.
With the hala aerial root, you have to, I read somewhere that I think it's the female that you have to use, not the male, because one is too hard.
Well, every branch has its own potential to be hard or soft. Yeah. With the puhala tree, it's not all of the trees have the aerial root. Some trees are only trunk and the roots just are on the bottom. Yeah. So I'm not sure which tree it is actually, but it's always the root that hasn't touched the ground yet, because that's the root that hasn't turned woody. Answer your question? Yes. Pardon me? Where do I pick it? Yeah? Oh, where do I teach keiki? Wherever I can. You guys are the ones that'll carry it on longer than I can. So come learn. Did you have a question?
Yeah. As far as lashing structures, could you use the hala cordage for that?
You could use, not, actually no. I wouldn't say to use it for structures per se. Only because of its durability. There's stronger cordages that you can use.
What would you recommend?
The coconut.
The coconut?
Yeah, the aha is, the aha would be my choice. No problem. Do you have any other questions? Yes.
How about pineapple?
Gee. Okay, that's another fiber that I've heard of. I haven't been able to play with it yet. But the fiber from the pineapple that I've seen comes out kind of like the coconut. Yeah. So, yes.
Did the Hawaiians use any bamboo fibers?
I'm not sure if Hawaiians used it.
Because now
They're
it's very
brilliant.
popular now.
Hawaiians are brilliant. Kupunas were brilliant. They came up with all of this stuff. It's none of me. So I wouldn't doubt it. There's tons of other fibers or plants that can be used for cordages that I haven't shared today. There's kawali vines, there's ohe, the halakahiki, there's and from what I've seen or heard, it's almost every plant that was useful. Like I said, our kupunas were brilliant. They didn't waste time. They knew their plants. They knew what the plant could offer or give to them and what they could do for the resource itself. So it's all about give and take what you give. What the Aina gives to you, you give back. Any other questions? No? Okay. With that ends